Tonight we begin with new information for the state capitol. There are multiple new bills that are getting attention on sexual assault advocates.
Yeah, one bill takes aim at organized child sexual abuse. Another would ensure rape victims have access to free recovery services. And then lastly, one would prohibit victims from having to take a lie detector test. Thanks for joining us for 2 News at 6 o'clock. I'm Mark Cabell.
And I'm Heidi Hatch. Preventing sexual violence here in Utah. It's the focus of what people are calling Advocacy Day on Capitol Hill. Dozens of victim advocates came to the Capitol to call on lawmakers to pass bills they believe will help survivors.
Yeah, they also say the state needs to set aside more money to prevent sexual assault from happening in the first place. 2 News' Paul Nelson live at the Capitol with more on this. And Paul, they're preaching prevention.
Yes, they are. The Utah Coalition Against Sexual Assault actually has a lot of bills that they are supporting this session. However, the most important thing that they're pushing for now is the approval of a funding request that would give rape recovery centers more money. The Cletting Room in the Utah Senate building was packed with anti-violence advocates and shelter managers during this year's Advocacy Day. Utah Coalition Against Sexual Assault Executive Director Liliana Olvera Arbon says less than 1% of all state funds going to sexual assault victims is going to programs aimed at preventing abuse.
We have very little investment in prevention coming from the state. We have a small amount coming from the federal level, but that's also decreasing this year.
The main thing they're promoting this year is a funding request from Representative Tyler Clancy. It would give $2 million to rape crisis programs and another $1 million to community-based groups that teach people about spotting abuse in relationships.
What is a healthy relationship? What does that look like? We can hear about it, but really understanding what that looks like is another concept that I think our parents or community members may not be focusing on enough.
Representative Ken Ivory says 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys in the state have experienced sexual abuse, so increasing funding to prevention and recovery is crucial.
The federal government's $34 trillion in debt. That rolls downhill. And so the more that the state can step up and take responsibility for helping victims, particularly sexual abuse victims, that benefit trickles throughout the economy.
He's sponsoring House Bill 196, which takes aims at what he calls ritual organized child sexual abuse, something that he says is a growing problem across the country.
When you get into the nature of ritual, persistent, organized abuse of children and others, that rises to a different level of criminality. And so we didn't have statutes that address the really serious nature of that type of offense.
Now, as you mentioned, 2 other bills that were being heavily promoted today. One of them would actually make sure that rape victims have all of the recovery services that they need free of charge anywhere in the state. And the other one would prevent law enforcement agencies from compelling victims to take lie detector tests. Reporting live, Paul Nelson, KUTV 2 News.